Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the quiz. During our last section, we looked at the history of UX design and came to understand the evolution of human-centered design over time, and how the purpose of UX design is to enable humans to achieve results through interaction with a system or process. Now for the modern status of UX. If I were to take a screenshot right now of the UX industry, we'd see a huge emphasis on interactive apps, both web and mobile. Designers are creating increasingly complex, interactive, and intuitive user interfaces, also known as UI, on both platforms. And each day the industry is becoming more and more complex, as well as much more fragmented. Consider the difference between a website landing page from 2005 and an iPhone app in 2015. The app includes a dramatically improved visual experience, an ability to automatically resize for various screen sizes, and a more authentic tone of copy. Quite frankly, it has a better overall experience. We'd also see an industry that's begun to turn outward and make liberal use of user feedback and analytics. And for this course, I cannot emphasize this point enough. Understanding users and being able to empathize with their feelings is one of the most important aspects of UX. Tip for the next quiz. Let's spend a little bit of time trying to understand why user feedback and usage analytics has changed modern software development. Software from the 1990s, the kind that you would install on your computer using a disk. If anyone remembers AOL or America Online, they were one of the most famous examples of this. Back then, software had to be engineered as close to perfect as possible when it was shipped, because if it didn't work, software developers would have to re-engineer the code, print new disks, and then distribute them to everyone who had the software. Every new feature or idea to try something out had to be flushed out completely and tested 100% before launching the software. We simply didn't have the ability to update software back then like we do now. Why, you ask? Because even if the purchaser had internet access, there just wasn't enough bandwidth to download new versions of software. And even further, if there was an update, users would often just not install it. This made the process much more difficult. Contrast this to a modern web app like Facebook or Amazon, and each one can be updated without a user even realizing it, simply by pushing new code to a server. Everything is instantaneous, so when a user accesses the website URL, they see a new version by default, often without realizing the difference. This gives software makers an ability to constantly come up with new ideas and test those ideas with small portions of their audience, and then, eventually, update their software on the fly. Companies like Facebook, Amazon, or even Udemy are often pushing multiple updates per day. Some companies even push hundreds. And they're able to make so many changes because of the way that they collect and analyze data. Aside from the improvements with users, UX designers armed with customer feedback and analytics often have a radically easier time designing experiences. With customer feedback, designers don't have to blindly guess on solutions. They're able to take actual responses or usage data and then use them as blueprints to solve customer problems. Think of customer feedback kind of like a cheat sheet. Why would you study blindly when you're taking an exam, when instead you can know the exact questions that'll be on a test? That's how usage feedback is. Along with user feedback and usage metrics, there are a number of considerations that professional UX designers must take into account when tackling a fresh project today. Think of each project consisting of two major parts, and this is important: offense and defense. Or in other words, the creative or the limitations. Creative describes what designers are able to generate from their thoughts, like visual styles or colors or screen designs, while limitations describe what obstacles must be met in order to meet minimum expectations. Examples of limitations include size of the screen, the number of features, or even available memory. Here are a few examples of what professional designers must take into account when starting a new project. Interface and technological limitations, user expectations and limitations, brand presence and existing visual language, and even time limitations. And this is only scratching the surface. We haven't even touched on the commercial aspects of the whole show. The good news, though, is that it's becoming steadily easier for UX designers to create software, as tools are improving. Because tools are improving so quickly, this has caused a new multidisciplinary class within the UX industry. It's now common for designers to crossbreed different skills like motion graphics and graphic design or animation and programming. Designers from these backgrounds often have a more unique skill set.